Hi, I'm Carol Jurgensen-Sheets, aka Carol the Coach. And I want to talk to sex addicts tonight about the core, the foundation for your sexual addiction recovery. And what that requires is 100% honesty, transparency, and authenticity. And that means that you can't lie about a thing. You have made the decision that you are going to be honest in every way, shape, or form. Because when you lie about taking out the trash or clicking on something that was provocative but not pornographic, when you lie about that, you lie to yourself, which creates a whole host of denial. And if you love somebody and they find out that you've lied, it sets them back to square one. Now that is hard. I have to admit, not telling white lies, not lying by omission, that can be very, very difficult because we oftentimes lie to avoid hurting people's feelings. And so what I want you to do is to actually imagine that you are going to be the new and improved person who is going to be 100% rigorously honest about your life and the life of others. So many of you know that my husband's in recovery, not from sex addiction, but from something else. And I remember a day when we were celebrating his 40th birthday, and his mother called his sponsor and said, "Hey, Rick, what are you doing?" And this was a long time ago. And Rick says, "Hey, I got your son on the other line." And she said to him, "Please don't tell him I'm calling you because I want to invite you to a surprise party." And his sponsor said, "Bev, I'm not going to lie. If he asks me who that was, I'm not going to tell him a lie. I'll tell him it was you." Now that is rigorous honesty. And rigorous honesty means that you stand up for the truth. You wear the truth. You are the truth. And I know you've been living your life lying at every juncture. And so asking you to be honest about when you sent the IRS check in, or whether the gas tank is half full or half empty, or whether you're going to be available to take the kids tomorrow, I realize that is tricky stuff. That is a situation whereby you can always stretch the truth and feel like you're being congruent with who you are. And I'm going to tell you, no, you can't. And so I'd like for everyone to practice being 100% authentic, being honest, being transparent, so that when you wake up in the morning, you may have hurt a few people's feelings, you may have set up some conflict, but you didn't lie. I just recently had a man who took a polygraph test, and in my practice, when you take a polygraph, the partner gives you the questions ahead of time. There are no surprises. You have a chance to be honest from the get-go. It's really an opportunity to build trust. And she asked him, "Is there anything that you've left out from our discussion today?" And he said no. Well, he gets the polygraph test, and he stops himself because he does know that in actuality, this man, who absolutely had a fetish for something I'm not even going to talk about, had seen a thumbnail on his phone and clicked on it. Now, it came up, but he shut it down, which was the right thing to do, but he didn't tell his wife. So here he is at the polygraph test, and the very first question comes up, and he goes, "Mike, the polygrapher, I got to call my wife Diane and tell her that there is something I kept from her. I don't know why I kept it from her. She wouldn't have been mad at me. She might have been disappointed, but she wouldn't have been mad. But now that I've kept it from her, and I've got to come back to her, and I've got to talk to her about it, it sets me up for lots and lots of conflict. And you and I both know that conflict in healthy relationships breeds intimacy. But when you're an addict and you've betrayed the people you love, whether it be your kids, your family, your parents, whatever, over and over and over again, they are saturated up to here. And so that's what he did. He called his wife, and his wife was angry that he knew that piece of information, and probably for minutes, hours, thought that he could get away with it until he thought better about that and decided to come clean. Well, I'm glad that he came clean. But what I know to be true is it would have been a whole lot better off if he had come to her even before they were in my office to say, hey, Diane, I looked at this. As a matter of fact, she hates when they get in my office and he confesses. She's like, why do you have to confess when you're in Carol's office? Stop it. Okay. Being rigorously honest. Here's what I suggest you do. You get a journal and you put my authentic, transparent, honest self. And every day you identify something that you could have lied about but chose not to, so that you reinforce the progress you're making about being authentic, transparent, and honest. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll feel. And if you have a wife, a girlfriend, a husband that gets mad because you were honest, I want you to stand up for yourself and say, look, I knew this would be conflictual, but I needed to be honest. And you know, that honesty may not be about having made a bad decision. That honesty may have been about thinking about making the bad decision and not making it at all. So be observant as to A, do you tend to lie when you're up against the wall thinking about a situation and you don't want anybody to know you're thinking about it? Or do you tend to lie when you've already gone a certain amount of direction towards making that bad decision? For instance, I had a man today who said, well, he was looking at somebody very young, and he did a double take, and he did another double take, and he did a third double take. And his wife saw him. And I said, you know what, Tom, you didn't have to lie about that. You know, you say you did the double take, and then you redirect, and then you say, that's somebody's daughter, I'm not going to do that, and then I'm going to think about the vacation I'm getting ready to take, and you move on. But by virtue of the fact that you looked 2 more times, and then you lied to her and said, I did not do that, and then she knew you were lying, and so she drills you on it, and then you confess, and then she's not just upset about the infraction, she's upset that you lied to her. That's what we got to break. You've got to face the conflict head on. And you've got to believe my premise that in healthy relationships, conflict breeds intimacy. I'm not saying you may not move away from each other, but I am saying that you'll come back to each other and you'll feel closer, and she'll feel good about you facing your fears head on. I'm Carol the Coach, aka, I'm Carol Jurgensen Sheets, and I'm so glad to be helping you to be honest, because that's about integrity, and that's where you and I know that you really want to be. I'll see you next time for more sex help with Carol the Coach, and make it a great week.